if you contract both sternocleidomastoids together, watch this. A lot of you, when you come into this classroom with head bowed, okay, you're contracting both sternocleidomastoids. When you pray, both sternocleidomastoids together, it's bilateral. Okay? So we can test the accessory independent of the other two by testing those two muscles. Okay, finally, the hypoglossal nerve is 12. It moves the tongue. Now, it innervates both intrinsic and extrinsic tongue muscles. Intrinsic tongue muscles are confined to the tongue, whereas, and they're involved in thickening of the tongue, or changing its shape so that we can pronounce certain words, or we can swallow. You know, when we swallow, we push food up to the palate. Extrinsic muscles, on the other hand, originate outside the tongue and extend into it. Extrinsic muscles are used to stick the tongue out or to move it side to side. So let's look here at the hypoglossal. They originate within the medulla oblongata. Okay. Let's put in the 12th nerve nucleus on either side. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. Now we put in the mouth and the tongue. Kind of looks like a rooster almost, or some type of animal, doesn't it?
Rooster?
Well, if you look at it from a certain angle.
That looks like a glacier.
No, I'm looking at. See, I'm looking at.
That's what I see.
You can kind of think of these as the eyes. This is maybe the hair.
Oh, I wasn't looking at that. I was just looking at the tongue part.
Almost, sort of.
All right, so let's look at.
Looks like a carrot with eyes.
If these are lower motor neurons, these are the 12 nerve nuclei. Let's draw the axons to the ipsilateral side of the tongue. Okay. Now, the upper motor neuron innervation is contralateral. So, impulse is coming down, let's say the left 12th nerve, okay? When they synapse with the muscles of the left side of the tongue, it's going to push the tongue to the opposite side. Okay? Of course, if you have balanced innervation from both sides, when you stick out your tongue, it's going to remain midline. But let's suppose that I have a lower motor neuron lesion, a brainstem stroke, for instance, on the left side, that impacts the 12th nerve nucleus. What's going to happen to the tongue when we stick it out?
What side do you have the stroke on?
The left side.
You're going to have issues on the right side. Or that's after the decussation. So it'll probably still be on the left side. It'll be weak.
Well, what's going to happen is the tongue's going to deviate to the side of the lesion.
Right.
When you stick it out, because the right side's not affected, impulses from the right side then cause the tongue to protrude to the left, but you have no balanced innervation here. You've lost the left 12. So with lower motor neuron lesions, the tongue deviates to the side of the lesion.
Does the, spastic and flaccid still apply?
Well, I'll tell you what happens, is that over time, this side of the tongue undergoes atrophy. So you can tell it's a lower motor neuron lesion.
So that's why it droops also? And that's why
Well, it doesn't droop, but it changes, it loses muscle, so it atrophies. It doesn't droop, it deviates to the side of the lesion.
Oh, okay.
Now, if it's upper motor neuron, it's just the opposite. Because the upper motor neuron innervation is crossed, if you have an upper motor neuron lesion, you're losing the pathway to the right tongue.
Right.
The tongue's going to deviate to the opposite side with an upper motor neuron lesion. And you won't have atrophy. Okay? So again, this nerve is used to innervate the tongue muscles that assist with manipulation of food, speech, and swallowing. So you can have slurred speech, you can have dysarthria from a 12th nerve lesion. All right. So, last thing. Who wants to volunteer?
For what?
Alan,
Is
come on up. All right, let's suppose we suspect Colin of a stroke or some other type of neurologic issue, and we're going to do a complete neurologic exam. Are we going to test cranial nerve 1? No.
this? Bye, Abby.
Bye-bye
Have a
now.
nice night.
We're going to go from, we're going to
And a
test,
weekend at Buddha Fest.
we're going to start with 2 and go 2 to 12. Now, if I wanted to formally test visual acuity, I could put an eye chart, but that's not the purpose of this initial exam. Okay? How can I test his gross vision? I can do it by confrontation. I can say, okay, close one eye. How many fingers do I have up?
2.
That's 3. But you do that. You can do finger, can they count your fingers? The other thing to do to test visual field is I can have him close one eye, and I'm going to close the eye opposite to that. And then I'm going to take my finger and say, tell me, do you see this finger?
Yes.
Okay, do you see this finger?
Yeah.
All right, tell me when you see it. And I see it about the same time. So if our visual fields are the same, it tells me that his visual fields are probably okay, and I'll test both eyes in that way.
So the doctor does that too, they close their eye?
Yes. So if he closes
I
his
can't-
right eye, I'm closing my left.
I can't close my right
Okay.
eye on command though, so would you have to hold it?
They would work out something.
Okay.
We'd give you a patch or something. All right, now, how am I going to test then? Now, the other thing I'm going to do
Don't do it
is
with my laptop.
I can test
you do
2 with 3
Don't touch me.
by using a pen light.
Isn't?
Okay, I can say, look at my nose, and I'm going to look for pupillary constriction. Both pupils should constrict. And that's what I see. So it tells me that 2 is intact, but also 3.
You don't have brain
Brain
damage.
cell. The other way that I can test 3, 4, and 6 at the same time is say, follow my finger. And I can look for range of motion of the eyes. And he's got complete range of motion, that's normal. Now, what they'll put on the chart, by the way, is something like this. Oh, I didn't finish. I will also check when I'm checking 2 and 3, I check for accommodation. So I'll say, look at my finger and follow it in. Okay, what I want to see is if his eyes converge, and I want to see his pupils get smaller. So if he responds appropriately, I'll put this on the chart. It stands for pupils equal, round, reactive to light, and accommodation. And then if his extraocular movements are intact, EOMI, which tells me he can follow my finger in all directions. 3, 4, and 6 are intact. How do I check 5? I'll take a pin and I'll touch either the sharp or the dull end to parts of his face with his eyes closed. Now he has to tell me dull versus sharp. The other way I test 5 is to say bite down. And I can feel his masseters and his temporalis contract. Okay, so I've checked 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. How do I check 7?
Close your eyes.
Close your eyes tight, tight, tight. Don't really open. Okay, open your eyes. Wrinkle your forehead. Good. I'll look for symmetry. Okay? I want you to smile. Real big. Real big. Yeah, good. All right, I'm just going on for fun now. All right.
Yeah.
How do I test for 8? Do y'all hear this right here? Can y'all hear that?
No.
No, no. Can you hear that? Yeah. Okay. So I can either put my wristwatch, which I don't have, or I can do this. And, it's a gross testing of hearing. Now, for 9 and 10, what I can do is have you open your mouth and say, ah. Okay, and what I'm looking for is symmetrical lifting of his arches, his pharyngeal arches. They should move up symmetrically.
Don't touch me.
So when I say ah, they move up. If one side doesn't lift, that tells me there's a problem with 9 or 10, because 9 and 10 are both involved in innervation of the pharyngeal muscles. 11. How do I test 11? I do this.
Throw them down.
Turn your head against my hand, like this. Don't let me push back. Okay, so I'm
Breaks
testing
his
really
neck.
the right sternocleidomastoid, the other side. Don't let me push back. Okay? Now, shrug your shoulders. Don't let me push down. Don't let me push down. Good. So that's the accessory nerve. 12. What I want you to do is stick your tongue out toward your cheek. Don't let me push in. Same thing on this side. Now, what I can also do is have him stick his tongue out, make sure it's midline, and then side to side. Good, good. So
The
in
tongue
that quick
action, though.
exam, I've checked 2 through 12. Does that make sense? All right, folks, that's it.